without any further ado, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sébastien Levert. I am a partner manager and product evangelist at Valo Intranet. I'm also a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. And I am joined today by a good friend of mine called Vlad. Hey, Vlad, how are you?
Hey, Sebastian, I'm doing great. Hello, everybody. Let me introduce myself really quick. My name is Vlad Catrinescu, SharePoint MVP from Montreal, Canada as well, and working as a product evangelist and sales executive at Valo Intranet. For those of you that are really good at spelling, you can find me on Twitter at Vlad Catrinescu. Luckily, there's not that many Vlads doing SharePoint, so I should be pretty easy to find.
Awesome, and it's true. It's kind of a hard sell in terms of pronunciation and in terms of writing. So today we're going to cover really three different main topics. So our first topic, we'll talk about the digital workplace. We all live in a world where digital workplace is super important and brings us to a all new level in terms of productivity. So we'll discuss a bit about that. Then afterwards, we'd like to discuss about what are Office 365 groups. It is an amazing product, or I would even say a set of products that exists in the Office 365 suite that makes you more productive. And we'll tackle some of the challenges, some of the features, and some of the ways we can enhance that using our third topic today, which will be what is Valo and how our Valo Teamwork module can really take you to the next level in terms of collaboration. And in the end, we're going to cover what are your next steps. And you want to stay until the end because we have some amazing things happening at the end of this webinar, including we will be raffling 2 full passes to the North American Collaboration Summit that happens in Branson, Missouri in a couple of weeks. Actually, it's going to be the 2nd and 3rd of March. So let's give it a shot. So what is the digital workplace? Or even what is our vision of the digital workplace? So at Valo, we have multiple products. Today, we're going to highlight one of those, but we have some kind of a strategy, and I think it's something that is important that can be leveraged in your own organization with or without Valo. We really put our strategy on 3 different pillars. The first pillar of a great digital workplace is to make sure that you can communicate with your employees, and that this communication makes your employee workforce engaging. People want to share feedback, to like content, to be able to discuss amongst each other. So for us, it is one of our pillars to make sure we have a great communication strategy in there. Is it through the intranet, through your social networking, through your different collaboration tools? Communication is a key to a great digital workplace. Second, collaboration. You want to make sure that your collaboration pieces and tools are making you productive. Not only the tools that are there that are kind of useful, but you don't really know how to use them, but how to be productive on a very, very specific business scenario. How can you be productive in your meetings? How can you be productive working with your team? How can you be productive by innovating? And that brings me to our third pillar, the innovation. Not only you need to collaborate and communicate, but you need to bring that a step further to something that makes you more of an innovative organization where everything should be easy. Communication should bring new ideas, and those ideas should make you more productive. So how can you leverage the innovation as a leverage to your to a better workplace, to a better organization, to a better productive organization? So this is really how we think about our digital workplace. At Valo, we have 3 different products that tackle each of those different strategies, but we'll come back later to that. So today, one of our main topics will really be all around Office 365 groups. And we're lucky at Valo because we have probably one of the best Office 365 groups expert that works with us. So Vlad, I will hand you over this presentation and have a blast.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sebastian. Okay, so as you probably all know, Office 365 groups have been there for a while. And in the past few years, we have actually seen a change, not only in solutions and going to the cloud and all of that technical stuff, we've seen really a change in how people work. And one of the biggest changes that, in my opinion, that we saw is that collaboration is not just files anymore. When you look at what we had a few years ago, we had SharePoint, Exchange, and Skype for Business. And basically, whenever we talked about collaboration, most of the time, that was automatically assigned to kind of SharePoint. And now collaboration is really video chatting, is really instant chatting, is being able to have files somewhere, have conversation. It's really not about files anymore. And getting the right tool for the job that you want to do is really important. And we've seen this a bit kind of changing as we speak right now. Whereas SharePoint used to handle everything from videos to flow to workflows to forms to everything. Now we have a bunch of tools in the Office 365 stack that really allow us to kind of collaborate better. We have stuff like SharePoint that still does the document really well. We have Yammer that helps us manage our tasks. We have Power BI that lets us manage all our business intelligence, stream or Office 365 video for videos, and so on. So really, we have so many tools now in our Office 365 stack that we can work with. However, I mean, Microsoft is really not the first one that came up with all of those tools. If we look in the past and if we look at what people use at home, tools that do the exact same thing as the tools that Microsoft is doing have existed for a while. OneDrive with Dropbox, Teams with Slack, a Planner with Trello, a Yammer with Facebook. So really, why is Office 365 groups so great compared to basically using just a bunch of different third-party tools outside of the Microsoft ecosystem? The answer is that if you look at all of those other tools, the problem that they have is that they are disconnected from each other. You must have a different username and password for each one of them. You must have different client applications, some of them don't even support all of the browsers. I was actually looking at a Twitter thread the other day where somebody complained to the Slack team on Twitter that how come video calls do not work with Firefox or IE? And the Slack team answered them, well, we only really care about Chrome. If you don't use Chrome, well, download Chrome and use Chrome if you want to use all of Slack. The advantage that we have when using Microsoft technologies, and this is really what Office 365 Group, and a lot of people call it the glue of Office 365, brings all of those tools together in a single thing so that when people want to work on something, they don't even think at the name of the technology behind anymore. Like I want to talk with some people, I have a way to talk to them. I want to store files somewhere, I have somewhere to store files. I want to manage tasks, I have somewhere to manage tasks inside my group. And this is something that people have absolutely loved, being able to create a group, having all of those things automatically provisioned. Because this is really the fun part of groups and Office 365 in a way, is that I want to create something, I go create it, all of those features, all of the tools that I need to actually work are there for me. And then I can use the ones that I like for whatever thing I'm working on, whether it's a project, a committee, or simply our finance team or our HR team. However, there has been a small problem with that, especially for the IT guys in the enterprise. The problem is that while the users absolutely love Office 365 groups, whenever you create something now in Office 365, whether it's a modern SharePoint team site, a plan, a Microsoft team, you create an Office 365 group, which creates all of the rest of the items. For example, a SharePoint site collection, an Exchange mailbox, and everything. And this kind of creates a chaos because especially that Microsoft still has some catch up to do from the admin side. Even until now, they just put it into preview. It's not rolled out to everybody yet. But the SharePoint Admin Center, where SharePoint online admins kind of live, they cannot see all of the sites created by Office 365 groups. So they're not even aware of what groups there are. Whenever I used to go at clients or I show people at sessions the PowerShell scripts in order to see everything, they're like, how come I have 100 site collections that I had no idea existed inside of my tenant? So while users loved Office 365 groups and really kind of having all of their tools together, IT admins hated it. So Microsoft does have some governance options for groups, because the sweet spot, especially with the modern workplace, is to be able to innovate rapidly to allow users to kind of be proactive, but as well as keeping control on the kind of what are they doing from an admin side. So what are the options that Microsoft gives us for Office 365 groups governance? We actually have multiple settings that we can do, such as who can create Office 365 groups. We can set block words inside of our groups, naming policies, classification, expiration policies, usage guidelines, and things like that. So let's take a look in a bit more detail, look at some examples of the stuff that we can really create, or stuff that we can control for Office 365 groups. First of all, and this is the one that the most people ask me about, who can create Office 365 group? Can we control that to only allow certain people from the organization to actually do it? By default, everybody in the organization is able to create an Office 365 group, as well as all of the things that come with it. The problem with that is that a bunch of people will be like, hey, I'll create a group for that. Oh, I just created it. Oh, but there was another one. So let's just go to the other one. And there's no simple way to migrate stuff. So what happens is that they're like, hey, IT, we have 2-3 different groups. Can you guys just merge them for us? It should be pretty easy for you guys. And then you realize that, yeah, there is no tool provided by Microsoft that allows us to migrate from one Office 365 group to the other. So we have to go buy a third-party tool to do it all. And also the amount of things that create an Office 365 group is really astonishing. Almost whatever you create now in Office 365 creates an Office 365 group. So let's say a user simply wanted to create a planner. They just wanted to collaborate with 3 other users on something, really not something official, just only collaborate on tasks, like they used to do in SharePoint, create a task list. Now they have just created another Office 365 group that the admin has another site collection to manage, and so on. So it can become a mess quite quickly. And especially for organizations where there's no real governance put in place, I've seen so many of them where they had more Office 365 groups than employees, because everybody went from, we have to go to IT to create everything, to like, oh, we can create everything ourselves. Let's create a ton of them. Luckily, by using Office 365, basically all of the policies, you can set your tenant to only allow a certain group of people to create Office 365 groups. This is implemented a bit differently throughout the actual products. So if you go into Outlook and you're one of the person that's not allowed to create it, the create button is not there anymore. You've seen in the past screenshot on the last slide, I had a create button as well. Now, because I'm not allowed to, I only have a discover. Also, if I try to create a new team, a new plan, it will tell me like, hey, you cannot create one. You have to go to your Office 365 admin. Another cool feature is being able to add blocked words. Let's say you want to make sure that an employee will not accidentally or unpurposely create a group that, for example, has legal inside, or let's say they have CEO inside or payroll inside. So you can actually add a different blocked words that your people can not create groups using. And whenever they try to, whatever, I just showed you, Planner, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Stream now, when they try to create Office 365 group with that specific word inside, the UI will tell them, sorry, the word, in this case, payroll, does not meet the company policy. So you're allowed to kind of have a list of blocked words to make sure that nobody does anything that could confuse users or that could otherwise, for example, like say, they by accident create one at payroll@company.com. So really, it helps you have that governance in place. We also have naming policies. So naming policies have actually been available before in distribution lists. So it's not something that's completely new. They can help you bring consistency in your tenant and to quickly identify the purpose of the group. And the fun thing about them is that dynamically, basically a naming policy can, most of the time, depend on the person who creates the group. So one of the cool things, I can, for example, set a rule that my naming policy always starts with GRP. Then I have my department name. Then I have my group name, which is the name that the group name that my user will put. And then I'll have my country or region. And the ones that I have in bold here, in this case, department and country or region, they actually come from the user profile. So if Vlad and Seb will try to create a group, they might actually have different names. And the advantage of that is that probably if Vlad will create a group, it will be for the Canada. Or I know that if you're an international company, it's mostly for collaboration inside of the Canadian nation. If our colleagues from Finland create one, it will have Finland in there. So we know kind of a bit more who's the owner, what the department is there. So we can use those inside of our groups. So whenever I try to create a group, as you see here, a user will type project XYZ. The group that will be created, the actual name will be Group Sales Project XYZ United States. Again, I'm not saying this is the best naming convention there, but I just wanted to give you guys a good idea of what can be done. And this works as well in Microsoft Teams and again, across all of the different places from where you can create an Office 365 group. And next one up is classifications. Classifications, basically, your Office 365 allows you to create your own classifications that are specific to your business group. What I did is this example, I actually took the ones from the US government, the different classifications that they have, restricted, confidential, secret, and top secret. This way, when somebody actually creates a group, they can already specify what is the classification of that one. You can also add different descriptions that actually say, okay, what is restricted, what kind of documents go in confidential, and so on. So really, and also this is shown whether you're in a SharePoint site, you're in a Microsoft team, or so on, not only at creation. Every time you actually collaborate on an Office 365 group that has a classification, at the top right, and you'll see this if you have enabled in SharePoint sites, you'll see what the classification of that site is. And also, if you do reporting, for example, if you use PowerShell for reporting, what will happen is that you're going to be able to group stuff by classification. So you can maybe have a report. I want to see all of the Office 365 groups that are at the restricted level that are shared externally. And maybe that's fine. But maybe I want to see a big red alert and have a report that says, how come I have top secret groups that are shared externally? Or I want to have reports, different reports based on the level of classification, the level of documents inside. So that really allows us to not only show the users right away what kind of security they should have on that site and how sensitive the documents are, but also to run different security reports. Another one that we have is expiration policies. And this one, I talk about a lot about it because once companies usually move to Office 365, I call it the last migration. or hopefully the last migration. Because unlike on-prem, where I was on SharePoint 2010, I created a bunch of sites, and I never did my lifecycle management because I knew that in 3 years, I'll migrate to SharePoint 2013, and then at the migration, that's when I'll do my lifecycle management. But with Office 365, hopefully, it will be your last migration. So you cannot wait until your next migration to actually do your lifecycle management. You need to do it right away. You need to do it continuously before it becomes too late and you have 1,000 groups that you need to find owners for that do not work for the company and you do not have any information about them. So with the expiration policies, you can actually set a group lifetime in days, either for all of the groups or only for selected groups. And this is where it can become really interesting because, like I said before, because we can use PowerShell on all of this, I can have a scheduled task that when a group gets created with a confidential level, I'll apply it a different group lifetime compared to one that is top secret. So really, by being able to kind of have it at the group level, not only at the whole company level, we can have different ones per group. Whenever your group is almost expired, you're going to get a screenshot like, hey, your Office 365 group expires in 30 days. Do you want to renew it or not? And after it's deleted, you're going to get like, hey, your Office 365 group has expired and has been deleted, but you can restore it by an admin for another 30 days after, or 28 days, I think, to be exact. So you also have that option to restore it just in case. The last one I think that we have is the usage guidelines. And this is really a small one. Basically, you can have your own internal company usage guidelines. When people create a group, they can have the internal ones, as well as the guest outlines. So the screenshot that I have here on the left is actually from an email that gets sent to the guest user. So let's say I work at Valo, I'm inviting somebody from Microsoft to work with us on a small project. When they get their email, they're going to be like, hey, Vlad has invited you to the group. And say, hey, you'll be accessing the Office 365 resources from, in this case, it would be Valo intranet. Please refer to the usage guidelines that they have. So this allows you to kind of share usage guidelines with all of the guests, with all of your partners that you collaborate with Office 365 groups. So this is really a cool feature. A lot of companies like to have it. Now, this is all cool, but what are some of the challenges that we have with the governance? The first one is pricing, and that's one of the big ones. Some of the stuff I showed you there is available in Office 365, but Microsoft is not a charity event and they have to make some money, so they actually charge you quite a bit for some of them. So what is available in Azure Active Directory free? Only enabling or disabling group for everyone. If you want to stay in the free module, the only way to actually do it is to either everybody can create groups or nobody can create groups. You do not have any of the stuff that I showed you earlier. All of the other stuff that I just showed you is only available in Azure AD Premium at $6 per user per month. So if you want to enable only select users to create groups, if you want to enable naming conventions, blocked words, usage guidelines, expiration policies, classification, and all of those cooler or more advanced governance, all of the users, and this is not like Flow or Power Apps where you can only have a few users have the premium plan and all the rest of ones have the kind of the free one. All of the users inside of those groups that have any of those features actually need to be licensed with Azure AD Premium. And I know that $6 per user per month might not be expensive, but think of it, if you're 1,000 users in your organization, you're actually going to be at $6,000 per month for the company. So that makes it what, $72,000 per year only to get kind of those features. I know there's a lot more in Azure AD Premium than Office 365 Groups Governance, so you might already be using it for two-way sync, for other things. I'm not saying that it only provides Office 365 group governance. However, one of the big reasons, especially for kind of a more control over Office 365, is really you need to go with the premium stuff. How do we configure those policies? How can we configure them? There's actually only one way, and I'm looking at actually a comment from the chat right now that says that this new digital workplace seems to be kind of like the Wild West. And you can say that it's a bit true that you either have the choice if you want to control it, you have to pay more, or else everybody can create them and it can become quite a Wild West. If you want to configure those policies, and I mean, I could talk probably a half a day about all of the technical things behind, the only way to configure all of those policies is via PowerShell. The only one that you can actually configure with user interface is the expiration policies. All of the rest, you need to have PowerShell skills in order to do it. I'll do a small 20-second plug if you guys don't know PowerShell. My latest book on PowerShell for Office 365 is available on Amazon, but that's it. Okay, so we showed you guys what's available from Microsoft, what's free, and what's not. And I mean, there has to be a better way, right? And I mean, those of you from the US that usually watch Shark Tank, you're probably laughed when I said it. There has to be a better way. But I think at Valo, we actually really nailed the collaboration part. So this is what is available out of the box. Now let's talk about where can third-party solutions such as Valo come in and help you guys, and probably even be a lot cheaper than actually going with Azure AD Premium if the only thing you need is group governance. So I'll let Seb get in here, talk a bit about what Valo is. I'll get a glass of water and then I'll come back for the demo in a few seconds.
Awesome. So thanks, Vlad. Extremely interesting what you just showed us. So what actually is Valo? Valo is an award-winning digital workplace that sits on top of Office 365 and SharePoint. Probably a lot of you already know us from our intranet offering, which is the center of all your communication, nice UI, very responsive, mobile-driven, even award-winning. So we've won the last ESPC Best Intranet and Extranet Award, Best Mobile Solution, same thing in 2016. We even won the Best Value for the Price at the latest Clearbox report. But we're more than just that. We have three different offerings. So our first one, Valo Intranet, that is the one that you probably already know about. We also have two different other different verticals or different offerings. So you remember at the beginning, I was discussing what is our three pillars of our strategy or digital workplace. So Valo Intranet is our communication story. The Valo Idea Management is our innovation story, where you can actually collaborate and co-innovate with your colleagues, which is not the subject of today's webinar. So we will not touch that much this one today. Today, we really want to focus on Valo Teamwork. It's a way for you to find and manage your groups, team sites, and all of your collaboration tools in a very, very, very streamlined way. So it's very, very easy for you guys to actually use Valo Teamwork to leverage some of the aspects that Vlad talked earlier about: group creation, approval on those, and it's actually pretty cool. So what is actually that? So Valo Teamwork is one place to access all of your Office 365 groups. So today, there's no real place where you can see all your groups in a single way, just in a blink or in a glimpse. There's no real way. There's Outlook, kind of. The best way actually to see it is to go to the admin center, but at the same time, nobody or almost nobody has access to it. So it's very difficult. It's also a way to view your groups for accessing your files, your sites, your conversations, your teams, your plans, your reports, your videos, with a single click to move from one workload based on scenarios to the other. So if you're in a team, maybe you will want to leverage only a part of those elements. If you're in a project, you will maybe just want to leverage some of those different workloads. So that's what we're going to cover today. It's also awesome because you can customize metadata on the groups. So it's been a while that I've been dreaming of being able to classify and to attach some metadata to a group. Being a heavy SharePoint user in the past, we're used to list and content types and site columns, and we love to tag our data. What about groups? You create a group, that's pretty much the only data that you can tag on it, the name or the title, maybe the URL, but that's pretty much it. Here, we'd like to be able to maybe tag a language or tag a business unit, or maybe even a classification on there. So it's very, very powerful. You might also say, okay, when I create a group today, or when I create a group from Outlook, it creates for me everything, including a plan, including a site in SharePoint. But how do I customize the experience once in SharePoint? How can I have like a predefined template when I create a group so my SharePoint site already has all the bells and whistles that I'm expecting? Columns, web parts, pages, retention policies, content types, libraries, web parts already pre-configured. So we use that in terms of patterns and practices provisioning engine that we include inside our own product. And finally, which is for me the most critical piece of Valo Teamwork, is the fact that you can get to a group creation approval process for your top governance. Let's say you want to create a group for a project. Well, probably your PMO will want to approve the group before you can actually create it. So it might go through different steps. And that creation approval process has the word process in there. And for us, what does process mean? It means Microsoft Flow. So you can control the way that content will be created, or that group will be created, through a Microsoft Flow, where you could integrate with your own lines of business applications, maybe to create a new project in Dynamics 365, to add that as a record in there into a customer, and automatically gets created, so everything gets tagged all together. So Vlad, what about you show us what Valo Teamwork is all about?
Sure. So let me just close this. Give me 1 second here. So I just opened my Valo intranet, and let's say I want to collaborate. What I would do if I wouldn't have Valo Teamwork, I would probably have to go to Outlook. I'd probably have, and I mean, Outlook can only show a number of groups, I think 10 groups. But if I have more, it's really tough for me to see all of the different Office 365 groups that I have in a single location. But from my intranet, which is always my home page, I'll go to the Teamwork tab. On the Teamwork, and this is the homepage of our Teamwork module, you can see all of the Office 365 groups that you, as a member, you're part of. Not only that, you can see the picture of the group, you can see how many members, you can see if there's any notification. Because I mean, today the problem, if we look at it, the problem worldwide is not having access to information, is that we have an overload of information. And we have a bunch of emails coming in, not having time to view everything. So I can quickly see what has been changed recently. Let's just say we give the example that Seb had before. I need to create a new Office 365 group. Because what we can actually do at Valo, even on Azure AD free, without actually having to pay for Azure AD Premium, we can block creation. So users cannot actually create an Office 365 group, and you can tell them that whenever you want to create an Office 365 group, you need to go through the Teamwork module. So I'll go here, I'll go select a new group, and then I have the templates that my company decided to get. with the Teamwork module, as a company, you can have different site templates. And that's something that we did forever with SharePoint on-prem, but it's something that was not available until really recently with SharePoint Online. So let's say in my case, I want to create a new interest group. So I'll request a new interest group. I'll say if it's public or private. Let's say this one is public. Let's say I put here, of course, the company, Valo is from Canada and Finland, so I already have a hockey fan group. So let me go here, let's do basketball fans. And let me fix that, it's unacceptable. I can see the site address right away. I can put a group description, and let's say this group will be used to talk about the NBA. Everyone is welcome. Since I cannot type properly today, I can set the owner. So let's say the owner will be Vlad and Sebastian, because I know he's also a big basketball fan. And I already know that Jack in my company is a big basketball fan as well. So I'll invite him as well. I know for an interest group, it doesn't make as much sense, but imagine you have a project. You want to create a project site. You can already enter the people who will be part of the project directly as part of the request. So you don't have to manually go and add them after. Add them directly as part of the request. And then I can have the metadata that my company actually decided to have. Because we're an international organization, one of them we added is location. So let's say this one will be for Helsinki. At the business area, I can add the ones that I want here. Let's say it's for HR. And I can have the language that we'll use to collaborate in here. And this is something that you, as a company, can actually customize it. Location, business area, and language are just a few examples, but you can actually customize it to be the metadata that's important to you as a company. And now I'll order the group. What will happen now is a new group order has been created, and there's an approval process inside of it. And because you can actually customize it depending on the template. In this case, Sebastian is our Chief Interest Group Officer. So a flow has been kicked off. It will send a notification to him. Hopefully he's going to approve me today for the basketball fans, and it will get created. But while that gets created, let me show you the other stuff. Another cool thing that I can do inside of my different templates. I can say, first of all, with the metadata that I just added, we can also use it for filtering. Because now all of my Office 365 groups are tagged. And by the way, even if you already have a bunch of Office 365 groups inside your tenant, don't worry, you can tag them after as well. You can change the tags and everything. I can filter by any of the metadata that I actually have in here. So I can really easily find the information that I'm looking for. I can also search, like say, I'll search for drones. So I'll start typing, it's able to find it quickly for me. I see that the basketball fans already started being created, but we're not going to go into it just yet. Something else that I can do for my actual templates. I can say that whenever we create a project, I have a quick launch here. I want people to quickly be able to go to the SharePoint side of the project, to the planner of the project, and to the OneNote of the project. Because that's the tools that me as a company, I want people to use inside of a project site. Inside of a team, it can be different. Inside of a team, in my quick launch, I'll have SharePoint, Teams, and OneNote. While inside of, let's say, hockey fans over here, I have SharePoint and Yammer. So for every actual template, you can select what Office 365 tools are part of the quick launch. Our goal is really to make this the homepage of your collaboration. So people go here, they see all of their groups, and from here they can navigate directly to the teams of a certain group, to the SharePoint of a certain group, and so on. And that's not all. We really took it to the next level. What I mean by that is I can actually go into the Documents tab over here, and this is probably one of my favorite features. me and Sebastian are always on the road. We're traveling. We don't have time to go in Office 365 every day. I can go into the Documents tab and see all of the latest documents I've been working on inside of the Office 365 groups that I'm a member of, as well as all the documents that somebody else changed inside of my Office 365 groups. This feature alone helped me actually cut down about 50 different alerts, because I used to have an alert on a bunch of team sites so I can know when they actually got modified so I can keep up to date. But now I have a single page where I can go to and really see all the documents that other people modified. I can also go to the Discussions tab, see all of the different discussions inside of my Office 365 group, so I can really stay up to date. So here you can see the one for basketball fans, because I'm a member. It actually just got created, already shown up here. If I go down a bit, I can see the discussion in SharePoint Committee, Project Candela, in all of the groups. So I really can go in a single location. Lastly, I can also discover groups. So I can actually go here and see all of the other Office 365. And it seems maybe I kind of joined all of them. So I'll just explain the feature. That's what happens when you keep doing tests and you're the global admin. I joined all of the groups. I can see all the Office 365 groups that are public and that I'm not a member of. So this way, maybe I'm new to the company. I'll go to discover groups and I'd be like, hey, there's a basketball fans group. That's awesome because I love basketball. So I can connect to people inside of my company. You can build small communities, really build out that employee engagement inside of the office, inside of your organization. So I find that really, really awesome. Let me see, actually, basketball fans, but I'll go to the SharePoint committee one for now. Something that actually sorry, Seb. Something that Sebastian explained was about being able to customize the templates. The SharePoint committee here, and I'll actually refresh, probably the basketball fans is already ready. You can actually customize the templates. So, for example, a project site can have different web parts on the home page. They can have different libraries, different site columns already created. This way, you know that all of your project sites across the organization all use the same site template. When somebody moves from a site to another, they have all the same tools. I mean, we all know it. Every project site has a contacts, activities, and kind of milestones or a risk list. Why make people recreate that every single time they create a boring blank Office 365 group when they can have all that template built in and be productive right away? Let's see if my basketball fan, you see it got created. I see the 3 members that I added, Sebastian, Jack, and Vlad. So now if I go to the SharePoint of this interest group, actually, I think, yeah, the interest group didn't have anything. It was the project site that had stuff. Great. So that's it for the actual demo. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat. Now I know we have about 10-15 minutes left, and Sebastian actually has quite some stuff to share. So I'll let Sebastian take it on for what are the next steps.
Actually, Vlad, before we move on to that, there's a ton of questions happening. So I will try to ask you some of them. I will answer some of them. So one of the first one, if we create a group, are we validating that the URL does not exist already? Absolutely. We validate if the URL is already taken. And then we apply the right URL to it. So there will never be like a collision between 2 different URLs. So that's a first one. Then afterwards, can you change the template after it was like, can you create a team and transform it to a project, for instance? And that is absolutely possible. So you can actually change the type of metadata. So all the metadata can be changed, and you can make it evolve not only you can evolve using the template at the beginning, but you can also make it evolve through time. Let's pretend that as a project team, Vlad, if you can go back maybe to your screen. Not this one. Yeah, there you go. If you go there and you say, let's pretend that the communication team wants to start leveraging Planner. So as a communication professional and the owner of that group, I can make sure that the life cycle of that group follows on. So my users are now more mature, so you can go to the group info. And from the group info, you can modify the group information right there to add a new workload. So you can say, let's add Planner in there. So automatically, when we save that and we close this pane, I can go back to my communication team, and now I can see, oh, now Planner is totally available. Something very cool also, I can use the filter options on top to actually go in and see, okay, I want to see all of my project or my teams, and I can also do both. So it is absolutely possible to make this some kind of a life cycle of a group, and you can also change its metadata at all time. So that's pretty cool. Are the customizable templates from an admin point of view or user point of view? So that is a good question. We do support patterns and practices templates, meaning that you can create your site in SharePoint, asking from an end user. Usually the end user is the subject matter expert. He wants to create a site the way he wants it to be and says, okay, I'm good. This is what all of the project sites should be. So you can ask to the PMO people to build their template for project site. And then from an admin point of view, you can export that site and all of its configuration inside the PNP, patterns and practices template, and then you can reuse that as one of the templates inside your Valo Teamwork. So it's very, very easy to do that, and it's absolutely stunning because now your users are not only users, but they are building and architecting their own collaboration story, which makes it a lot easier because they are the subject matter experts. I also had another question a bit earlier. Can we leverage existing sites that would be already in my Office 365 groups? Absolutely. If you are already in an Office 365 groups situation, you might want to be able to use what you already created and then enhance it by using metadata, by using some different default options, which are the workloads you want to use, also which are the members, who are the owners, classify it, everything that will work natively. And the last question that we got is, can we add external systems in there? Can we push it a bit further? Can I have my Slack channel? Can I have a Salesforce opportunity associated with a project or something? Yes, this is something we're working on currently and will be part of our next release. So you will be able to bring in external data that has nothing to do with Office 365, and we will augment your Office 365 groups experience using those different functionalities. So that will be a great feature in the next couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah, and that's really cool because let's be honest, as much as I'm a Microsoft fan and both me and Seb are Microsoft MVPs, not everybody likes, for example, dynamic CRM. Not everybody likes Teams. Some organizations already use Trello, Slack, Salesforce. And unfortunately, there is not that much of an integration between them. So if I have my documents in Office 365, I have to go to Salesforce, find my client, find that kind of project, I'll call it a project, or my lead that's in relationship with that group. And we really tried to be that glue. And remember the slide that I showed you, the problem was that there was no glue between the different third-party applications. By bringing and being able to, for example, allow people to, from their intranet, go to the Teamwork and go to that specific Salesforce case, to that specific Trello board or Slack channel. We like to help being that glue of not only bringing all of Microsoft together, but also your other external systems that you might be using.
Yeah, and that is just completing your everything you would do I would really recommend to start leveraging those different aspects. While you were talking, Vlad, we add another question, a very interesting question. Do you need Valo intranet to be able to deploy Valo Teamwork? The answer there is no. You don't need Valo intranet. Those are two separate modules or two separate products. So you can leverage Valo Teamwork as a standalone product. So you don't need to go through the intranets. And a last one before we move, the other ones we will answer them through our blog post. Is Valo work with team size that are not modern? Today, no. The reason why is because we really wanted to leverage the modern collaboration story. This is something that is high on our priority list, so we're still looking at that. But when the Groupify APIs from Microsoft will be shipped, automatically, yes, we will be able to leverage them directly from that Groupify action to change a site into a group. So that will be absolutely possible. Awesome. So before we end this webinar, first I'd like to thank you very much for bearing with us. We were a lot of people in the call today, and you're probably all waiting for the next one. So Vlad, please.
There you go.
We have 2 full passes to North American Collaboration Summit happening in Branson, where we are a platinum sponsor. Would like to have you there. Would like to meet with you. So what are the steps? Pretty easy. You book a demo. You have the site right here, valointranet.com/book a demo. You can book a demo of anything, intranet, teamwork, idea management, all of the above. Maybe just have a chat with Vlad. Vlad is a very talkative guy, so you can have a lot of
always open to that.
Get in touch with us, and before the end of next week, so before it will be the 16th, we will raffle 2 passes and we'll get in touch with the 2 winners directly by email. So that's the first thing. Second thing, if you're more than excited about teamwork, you booked a demo, you have the chance to save 10% on Valo Teamwork order if you commit to the product before end of February. So let us know, give us a chat, give us a call. Let's give us the chance to make you a personalized demo with your own wordings, with your own themes, with your own organization. And we'd love to be able to showcase what Valo Teamwork has to offer, even a bit more than what we showed today. I am more than happy to have hosted this this webinar today. Vlad, do you have any closing remarks?
Not really. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time, and I don't see anybody that left yet after an hour. So I'm really glad you guys enjoyed, and I really hope it was informative for you guys.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you have an amazing day. Go check us out on Facebook, Twitter, on our website. Send us an email, hello@valointranet.com. I hope you have an amazing end to your day. I said we had people coming from all over Europe till the west coast of US. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Cheers. Bye.